Good morning, everyone. It's Lee Henson, President and Founder of Agile Dad, and it's time for today's episode of the Daily Stand Up. So, without any further ado, let's get started. Today, I want to discuss with you a topic that I have been asked probably 971,623 times or so. The question: how do I know when to choose Agile on a project and when to not choose Agile on a project? And I know what you're thinking, Agile Dad, the Daily Stand Up, he's going to say do Agile all the time. Well, I tried to seek out I tried to eliminate all bias and seek out information that would help people make these critical choices, right? And I think really when you boil it all down, when you boil everything down regarding whether or not you should be doing Agile or if you should be doing something different, it all boils down to seven key triggers. So today I hope to cover these seven key triggers with you. And I think this is going to help you determine whether Agile is a perfect fit or if maybe even something even traditional is a better fit. It's just going to give you the food for thought. It's the seven things that you should be asking. So here we go. Question number one that you should be asking is, what is your threshold for risk of incorrect implementation of your product or service? If you have a very low tolerance for risk, right? If you have a very low tolerance for risk, then waterfall's your jam because you're just going to build exactly what it says and it's going to take you forever, but you're going to get it done and it's going to be exactly what it is. If you have a little more tolerance for risk, and that doesn't need to be high tolerance, but a little more tolerance for risk, then Agile's the way to go because Agile is going to allow you to pivot very easily, but of course, by pivoting, it's going to introduce risk. So that's just something to consider, right? Question number two you should be asking is, what is our tolerance for upfront uncertainty? Now, if any upfront certainty is completely unacceptable and everything needs to be rigid and exactly as described, waterfall is your jam. If you have a tolerance for upfront uncertainty and you can say, yeah, let's start and see where we get to. And then once we see where we are, then we can pivot and make adjustments, then Agile is going to be best for you. So far we have, what is your appetite for risk? And then second is, what is your tolerance for upfront uncertainty? Next, the third question you should be asking is, tell me more about the clarity of the requirements in a stakeholder's possession. So if the stakeholders coming to you with crystal clear, perfect requirements that are easy to understand, but still large and need to be broken down, well, waterfall is your jam again. If they're coming to you with things that aren't so clear and it requires some backlog refinement, it requires some interaction with the team and other individuals to help figure out where you are, then Agile's your jam. So it really does depend, right? And I know this is catching you off guard a little bit because most people don't think this way. Question number four: how urgent is it for us to deliver business value? If we say, you know what, the strategic readiness or awareness for this just isn't here yet, or the consumer doesn't need it for a little while, there's not a whole lot of urgency, then you could push it out, and you could even use traditional waterfall for that if there's no urgency. But if there's a sense of urgency to get something delivered right away, Agile's going to get you to market faster. It just may be a little different, right? Than what the end result was assumed to be. So just throwing it out there because you have to have that little bit of risk involved. Coming in at number five: how many stakeholders do you need to collaborate with? If you have just one stakeholder or one or two people who are telling you what to do, you could probably get by with a lightweight waterfall run and just measure your milestones and call it good. But if you have many stakeholders who all want different things and are all coming at you from different directions, Agile's a must have. You need to make sure you're doing Agile in that scenario. Coming in at number six: the formality of the contract that's being executed, right? So if you have a contract that's a government contract and it's very rigid and the language is just incredibly rigid and there's no changing it and there's no real good change management in place, waterfall is going to be your jam. If you have some flexibility, even inside of government contracts, I'm going to point this out because I've done a lot of government contracts using Agile, then you can do Agile. But it's just, if you have things that are very rigid and very formal, it's going to be hard for you to implement Agile. So, food for thought, just something to think about, right? And then finally, number seven is the experience of the team that's going to be implementing the product or service. If this is a brand spanking new team and they have no clue what's going on, you may want to do a waterfall approach so they can move in slow motion so they can learn as they go and really just get their feet under them before they build anything that's going to provide value. If you have a team that has some experience and they're self organized, or you have a strong Agile coach, obviously Agile's a better answer. So, one more time to quickly run through. The key words are appetite for risk, tolerance for upfront uncertainty, clarity of the requirements that you're given, the urgency to deliver business value, the number of stakeholders who are going to be involved, the formality of what you're trying to do contractually, and the experience of the team that's going to be building it. Obviously, if you have those questions in play, it's going to help you determine. Now, I don't know if you realize this, but those 7 items that I just now gave you are also 7 superpowers for determining whether or not Agile is a good choice. So, one more time to make sure you heard them because they are kind of important. Your appetite for risk, your tolerance for upfront uncertainty, the clarity of requirements that you've been given, the urgency to deliver value soon, early, the number of stakeholders who are going to be integrated, the formality of your contract, and of course, the experience of the team. And if you can get your head around those things, what I can assure you is that you're going to have a really, really, really strong urge to get those things solved. Because what I can tell you is more organizations struggle by not asking the right questions, by not getting to the crux of what's there. So I hope you enjoyed this. Those are your keys. Take those with you. They'll get you real far. If you have something you want us to talk about here in a daily stand up, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Learn more at agiledad.com. And I'd love to cover your topic or review an article for you. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.